Hello and welcome to The Real Well. I'm Bridget and this is Loren, and we are thrilled to have you with us. Today, we're going to talk about something that I think of often. Rosie the Riveter said, "We're women, we can do it all." But nobody told us we don't have to because we're tired. So we are going to talk about that while maybe you are racking in your favorite chair on the porch, doing the stretch and folds of your sourdough, or changing oil in the shop. Join us. We know the ag industry has its challenges, but we're right alongside you, and we cannot wait to connect and inspire one generation to the next. Loren, as someone within the ag industry who's female, how does that set with you when you hear someone say, "You can do it all, you're women"? Have you ever thought, maybe I don't need to?
Yeah, well, a little bit about myself. So I got married very young. I met my husband when I was 19, and we married just after I had turned 20. So we met and married within 10 months. And I remember going in and got expecting our first baby fairly soon after, a couple months later, and going into my nursing professor. And the amount of kind of shame I felt from her, because she indicated that because I was going to be a mom, I would never, I would never get my education. That's what she said to me. She said, "Well, you'll never graduate now." And I think it was good for me to hear that, because I think it challenged me where I'm still in school now. And maybe that's why I'm a lifelong in school person, is because she said those words. But the power of the spoken word is largely underrated. And what I needed at that time was for this older, more mature woman to come alongside me and encourage me and tell me that it was okay if I wanted to be a mom. That was okay. And in the years when I wanted to go back to school, it was my husband who came alongside and said, "That's okay. We will make it work. You want to go back to school? You go back to school. We will make it work." And he's had to do that a number of times because I've gone back for a few more degrees. I think it's a problem in our society where we tell women not only that we tell them the message, "You can do it all." And it comes with this tale of expectation. And the reality is you can do it all. You don't have to do it all at the same time. And you don't have to do it all if you don't want to. And so if we can get to that place as women where we can bloom where we're planted, where we can find joy in whatever we're doing at that time for that stage in our life, wow, that will make a difference, I think, Bridget.
I feel like there's almost a little bit of history to this, and I'm going to take a slightly different approach.
Mhm.
When North America was being settled, European women were coming over here. They were fragile. It took a special woman, as we were told, to go out and be a pioneer and homestead on the prairie, who was willing to put up with the incessant wind, the challenges of living in a sod house, riding in covered wagons, and their lives progressed and kept getting better. Right. Soon we had some modern conveniences, and suddenly people were starting to see a little bit more wealth, and they could afford some of those conveniences, wooden homes. Eventually the cars came, et cetera. And I think the big turning point was World War II, when we all see the pictures of Rosie the Riveter saying, just we can do it. And that was great. Women were outside the home. They were managing the finances. They were raising the children because all of the men were off to war. And we wanted to keep doing it. We wanted to keep doing it all. And nobody said you don't have to. And when I talk with women who are professionals like ourselves, and they talk about their jobs that are demanding. No one, I swear to you, no one I know has one job. Everybody has like 2.5, because we aren't good at saying no. We raise our families. We take care of our homes. If we hire someone to do our dusting, we feel guilty because, well, I should be able to do this all. My mom did it all. My grandma did it all. We should be able to have gardens and can and feed the livestock and go to school and do everything. But you know what? we're tired.
We
And
are.
this new level of expectation for women, not just in ag, but professionally, is high. And can we give ourselves permission to just not take all of it on?
We can, and I think we have to. The statistics post-COVID for rural women, folks, it's really daunting. Like I don't know if daunting is the right word, but it's alarming.
Yeah.
When I read those statistics, post-COVID, rural women experience the greatest decline in mental wellness across the board, greater than rural men, greater than urbanites, greater than children. Rural women experience the greatest decline. And I think part of the reason for that is, just as you have said, is that we have come to this place where we have been holding our families' emotional health and well-being. We've been holding our workplace expectations and their emotional health. A lot of rural women, we work in the helping professions. We are nurses and clinicians, we are EAs, and we are teachers. And so those have been taxing careers. The helping careers are very taxing because so many people need support right now. And so we're holding our families, we're holding our workplaces, we're holding our communities. Women are more likely to volunteer in our rural communities than men, and more likely to have leadership roles within those rural kind of social community meetings. Our ag communities, our ag organizations. And so we're in a very difficult, kind of precarious position where it feels like so many people depend on us. And we have given to all of those people and all of those organizations without caring for ourselves. And therefore, we're exhausted.
Yes. Now, when you see folks coming in to talk with you in practice or even in a clinic situation for healthcare,
Mhm.
are women generally the last ones to come in looking for help, that they put everyone ahead of them, sending them off to be taken care of first?
Well, it's actually twofold. They're the first ones to come into the building, but they're caring for somebody else's needs by coming in. So the first ones to come in the building, and they're caring for their children, and they're caring for their spouse, and they're putting everybody else's needs. They're the last ones to come through the building to care for themselves. And so very quickly, their own needs are minimized or disregarded in order to ensure they can continue holding for everyone else. And particularly for our rural farmers, it's important for men who are listening, it's important for you to know that typically your spouse is kind of your sole support.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that in my private practice all the time. I'm generally really careful about my language when I use the words all or never, all the time, all the time. Women are the sounding board for their spouses. Women are handling their emotions that are spilling over, but only to their spouses, never to the siblings that are part of the farm management practices, never to the community, and extremely rarely to any professional, such as like a feed guy or agronomist or anything like that. They will pick up, those are still frontline people. They will pick up on things for sure. It's one of the reasons we provide training for those kind of frontline individuals on the farm. But it is, by and large, it is the spouse. By and large, it is the spouse that is the sole support. And that feels safe for one of the partners, but it feels unsafe for the other.
I think that I want to make sure folks listening understand, I don't discount anyone who wants to do it all. Any woman who wants to say, I can do this, I've got it, I'm good. But I do want to give permission that if you don't feel that way, it's okay to not feel that way. That it's okay to understand overwhelming means you can do something different. You can pivot. You can make a change.
I think so often it's in what we tell ourselves. It's the expectations we place on ourselves.
Yes.
And as much as our world and our community has placed those expectations on ourselves, it's ourselves, it's us who have reaffirmed it, or it's us who have adopted it. And so I think the message is, it's okay for you to not adopt that. It's okay if my daughter is incredible mom. I'm so proud of. She is like, she gets down on the eye level. She's such an incredible mom, and she has two young babies, and number three's on the way. And she has chosen to still be in school, and be a mom. And so my job as a woman and a mom, I suppose, is to come alongside and cheer her on in whatever realm that is that she decides on.
Mm-hmm.
Our job as women is to restore the crowns of one another in whatever way that looks like. And so for the women in your life that are doing it all, come alongside and cheer them on. And for the women in your life that are saying, I want to be a career, I don't want to be a mom, cheer them on.
Yes.
And for the women who want to be stay-at-home moms and not have a career and not be in school, but just feels that their calling is to be a mom, cheer them on. So I've lived both lives. I've lived the life of a stay-at-home mom with young kids and choosing that to be the area that I put all of my energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've lived the life of being a student, working full time, having foster kids, all of the other pieces, being a farmer, owning a bit other businesses. In all areas of my life, I need women to come alongside and cheer me on.
That cheering on, it can be face to face with someone, but it can be online. When I see women who are, and I have some very active Instagram accounts that I follow where these women are doing great things. They're raising their kids. They're running their farms, and they get torn down about, well, you're not taking the time for your kids, or you're taking the kids with you, and that's putting their lives in jeopardy. Hold on. Moms don't put their kids in jeopardy. They look out for them. That's the mama bear right there. But I love your phrase, cheer them on, even if it's online, even if it's not someone face to face in your family or your community. Cheer them on, because they need to hear that. I have been asked frequently, well, you're so busy. How do you get things done? And I realized one day people asked me that, but no one was asking me if I enjoyed what I did. I really enjoy what I do. And so once again, take that positive spin and ask people if they enjoy what they're doing, because likely they do. And if they don't, cheer them on to make the change.
Yeah, we need to do this as women. We need to do this as women for one another. I follow the farming or Faithful Farming family, I think it is. You maybe follow them as well. And I think about Caitlin Dubin and Laura Usbrick and Sheepishly Me, Sandy Brock, and all of those, influential women in agriculture. And it is so frequent where I see and read someone who is critical. And if we want to talk about kind of the plague in our society, I would say it's twofold. It's number one, it's complaining. Ouch, did I step on a few toes there? And the other one is the critical spirit, or the critical personalities I see time and time again, really quick to knock somebody down, really quick to correct somebody, really quick to, we've got to change that in our communities. We have got to be willing to come alongside one another and champion one another.
I feel that all it would take for many cases is that little piece of positivity. You and I talk about wellness, physical, mental, all of the above. Positivity can impact folks in such big ways that we don't even realize. And by doing that for other women who made a conscientious choice of whether they wanted to farm, raise their children, do them all, have a corporate job, foster, adopt, just cheer them on because that was their choices. Let them feel positive about that. I think
I love what you said. Let them feel positive. What if we did that? What if in my busy world, people came alongside and was like, good for you. Like, come on, Loren, you can do this. You can get that PhD by the time you're 50. And that positive voice spurred me on. And then it taught me this. It taught me of what a powerful influence that positive voice was. And so I turned around and I said to somebody else, you know what? In whatever journey you're doing, I'm behind you. I'm rooting for you.
Yes.
I have struggled with weight loss for most of my adult life. And so I now have this incredible woman named Lisa Shivers. Shout out to Lisa. And she has been kind of helping and guiding me. And she talks about the loving voice. Like, Loren, do you hear a loving voice from yourself? And I think I have to, in most areas of my life, the answer would be yes. Not in the areas when it comes to weight loss or making healthy decisions. That would be a very critical word I hear, a very critical voice I hear. And so the incredible thing I have found is because she's in my ear, so she'll text me at least once a week, and we have meetings every other week, and she calls me out on a little bit. She's like, "Are you making loving choices?" is the word she uses, and she's referring to both what I'm telling myself and, of course, the choices that I'm making when it comes to eating healthy. And it's really not about weight loss. It's really about just choosing differently and choosing health and choosing differently. But anyway, my point along that is in all of the different ways in which a person can try to lose weight, the one that I have found most inspiring is to have this person alongside to say, be kind to yourself, and I'm rooting for you.
So I have a question. As we think about the level of intensity in our lives as women in ag and in industry, do you think that over the next generations of our daughters and our granddaughters, that we will begin to teach them that it's okay to do less? Or is it just going to continue to compound and get worse?
Well, that's a pretty complicated question because we have put ourselves in a position where it's going to become more and more difficult for the choice to exist. It's going to become more and more expected or demanded. For instance, the number of women who work off farm is steadily increasing. And not just women, men as well, because we can't afford to farm and rely solely on a farming income in order to be able to do that. And so it probably our opportunity to make choices will actually, in my view, decrease in agriculture. Unless if there's, I mean, I know that there's all sorts of AI and there's all sorts of robotic technology that maybe that will make things different. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. I think that it will continue to require a great deal of discipline and passion and conviction for women to find their voice, to say, I am enough and my choices are okay.
If there are two things that people can walk away from today, you are enough and my choices are okay. That is impactful. And that is a resource to take with you. You were just given permission.
Yeah.
For that.
Alrighty, Bridget. So now is our chance to kind of pivot. We're going to do our next segment in our podcast, which is called Catch a Phrase. And this is where we share a quote and see what we think it might mean or to whom it might apply. And this quote comes to us from Kavita Ramdas. And she is an American activist. And she says, we need women who are so strong, they can be gentle. So educated, they can be humble. So fierce, they can be compassionate, and so passionate, they can be rational, and so disciplined, they can be free. All right. What do you think of that quote?
Oh, so when I look at that, the first thing that comes to mind for me is you're probably getting 3/4 of those. Not everybody gives each one. That's not horrible, but I think what's most important is the strong that they can be gentle. That's the one that's most important for me, because I feel like if you have that gentleness and that kindness and you reflect it back outward, it makes that positive influence on the rest of the world. But man, if you can be all of them, that's impressive.
Well, I wonder how closely tied they are, though. Like when I think about so fierce, they can be compassionate. It's almost like a juxtaposition.
Yes.
Like how do you rationalize being fierce? When I think of being fierce, it's like I don't back down when I feel threatened. and I'm willing to take risks, and I'm willing to believe in myself in order to do that. And if I'm that fierce, I can be compassionate, meaning that motivates me to change.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't be that kind of fierce if I'm not strong and I'm not educated in a way. And I don't mean formal education. I mean, I know lots of brilliant, wise women who are not formally educated, but they are educated.
Yes.
Right? The last one that strikes me is so disciplined, they can be free. And I think so often we align freedom with something that is given us. And that goes back historically to many philosophical arguments when we talk about freedom and, equality for women and things like that. But in this case, she's talking about we need to be disciplined in order to be free. How do you think being disciplined brings freedom?
Because in my mind, it's that you have your world aligned. You have either a schedule or a plan or something is getting done that allows you to set aside the time that's freedom for you. Maybe you have yourself organized enough that every day you get that time for exercise or reading or self-reflection. That's probably one where many of us lack. We probably lack that discipline.
Yeah. And I agree with you. We can't be all of these things. It's kind of like the Proverbs 31 woman. We don't actually exist.
Right.
We can put that postage in our day timer or whatever. But when I think about so disciplined, they can be free. I think about my overall life goals. And if I'm disciplined, I will accomplish those overall life goals. And that feels freeing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? That if I'm disciplined.
It does. But I wonder if you are gentle and humble and compassionate and rational, you might feel free all on your own without the discipline.
Do you think you can be those things without discipline?
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a lifelong learning moment. Maybe there'll be a time in our lives where we'll actually know.
Anyway, brilliant quote. One that causes us to think deeply. Brilliant quote. Love that.
Which I like. I like that tremendously. Mm-hmm. Oh, but one last question for us, and I prefer to make this something just a little bit more fun. And that is, if you were able to spend an entire summer working at a historic spot, a national park, what might you choose? Is there some place that you would want to be to work for an entire summer?
Abe Lincoln's, is that down near Washington, D.C., outside of Virginia? What's it called?
George Washington's farm, Mount Vernon?
I think so. Yeah, Mount Vernon. That's it. Sorry.
Mount Vernon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or in Canada, they have one up near Toronto or the Lower Seacourt area, where you get to dress up in period costumes. Although I don't like wearing a dress. I don't know how that would go, and bake bread in a wood fired. I'm so down for that. Yeah.
We obviously were born of the same generation. Personally speaking, there's a Laura Ingalls Wilder site not far from me, a couple hours away, De Smet, South Dakota. Move me in. I'll be Laura all summer long.
I am with you. Let's do it together. I might make a good Nelly.
Oh, but I think it would be so much fun. And granted, it's only for a summer, but you get to relive those pioneer days. And so when someone says, think of the good old days, we'll say, we lived them. They weren't that great.
I don't know, my own soap and with lye and everything, and the olden days. You can do it now. We have a pressure canner. I don't think they had pressure canners the same way back in the day. I don't know, but
nope. But again, when people say, the good old days, well, it's sort of okay, but we don't have to live it longer than a summer.
That's right. Yeah. Again, we romanticize the past, right? I do.
Yes, we do. Yeah. We all do.
But we could go back, dip our toe in, and then come home and put our feet up and watch Netflix.
Absolutely.
All right.
So thank you for spending the time today to talk about we do it all, but maybe we don't have to. And if you have thoughts or opinions, please share them with us. We'd love to hear and know what you think. So it's been another informative day to quench your thirst of knowledge here at the Row Well.
Thanks so much, everybody. See you next time.